Welcome to our iDegree workshop return on investment series in the banking and finance industries. My name is Kate Deering. I am an assistant director within Gies Online Programs. Very excited to have you here today and spending the next hour or so with you. There is a QR code on your screen. If you are interested in speaking with myself or a member of our admissions team, go ahead and scan that code and we will reach out to you in a few days to talk about your goals, talk about our credentials, and answer any questions that you have. So hopefully you're all here because you're interested in general in Gies Online and also kind of curious about how it has affected students in the specific banking and finance sectors. We do have three very special panelists here today that are going to introduce themselves here in a little bit, but they are each going to share a little bit about themselves, their background, how their degree and their learning has specifically influenced their trajectory in their current role or maybe a promotion that they have earned. They do really have some valuable insight as they have gone through the program and are currently in the program. And they're also game for whatever questions that you have as we move throughout our time together. So go ahead and throw those questions in the Q&A feature or the chat, whichever you're comfortable with. And we'll make sure we get all of those answered. We will take some Q&A at the last 10 minutes or so. And I also have the questions that were submitted within the registration form. So we will tackle those at that time. But before we dive into the banking and finance ROI, I did want to give a brief overview of Gies Online in general, talk a little bit about course structure and how we deliver information. Then we will do just kind of a brief overview of our three master's degrees that we share online here at Gies Online. And then we'll throw it over to our panelists, and they're each going to present a little bit before we take questions. So if you are joining us for the first time and you're unfamiliar with Gies, let's start with Gies Business Online and talk about our programs as a whole. We have structured our programs with three priorities in mind: flexibility, stackability, and then online by design. Gies Business is very flexible, and you'll hear this word a lot, from where you access your live sessions and your coursework to your degree planning, your pace that you'll have throughout the program, as well as your tuition. We are 100% online for all credentials that we offer. And this really means there's no travel requirements in accessing your coursework and your material. We realize that you're very busy. Our students are full-time working professionals, 40+ hour work weeks. You have families, you have extracurricular activities. And so to be able to provide a program that you can access anywhere in the world at any time during the day is really nice for our students, even down to the group projects and the live sessions. You'll have options there as far as how you're accessing those. We're also flexible in giving you the power over your degree plan. There is no specific course plan or specific course that you have to follow, like course order that you have to follow. There's a couple that you do have to take in a certain order, but for the most part, you're in charge of your degree plan. You are going to decide if you take one course or two each 8-week term and how fast you move through the program. You'll have a lot of elective choices, so that's really nice as far as the three master's degrees, and that you have a lot of input in what you want to focus on and what you want to learn. And then lastly, there is quite a bit of flexibility as far as how we bill our tuition. And we do have a pay-as-you-go tuition model where you're only going to pay for each course that you're registered for. There's not going to be a lump sum payment required. There are options that the university bursar office will offer. They have payment plans. You can have your employer reimburse you. There's sponsored billing. There's lots of options there. So you'll work with them to get that tuition paid, but there is some flexibility there. Stackability, our credentials and online programs, they stack and they work together. So wherever you're at in your learner journey, everybody's different. We do have an access point or an entry point and an option for you. This unique stackability allows you the option to try out a course, see if you like it. I think that's really nice. Like you can take a 4 credit hour course, learn something, learn a specific skill set like leadership and management, and then decide, oh, I really love how they do things at Gies, and stack that into either a graduate certificate or use that towards a future master's degree online. So, you can build upon every access point and every credential that you start with, which is really nice and unique. And then, lastly, online by design. This means that this program was intentionally designed this way to be delivered to many, many thousands of learners worldwide without giving up the potential for interactions and collaboration between students from all over the world. So we did create this highly engaging content back, all the way back to 2016 when we launched the first IMBA program, and put a lot of thought into how we were going to do this and how we were going to structure our courses. And, by creating this engaging atmosphere, virtual atmosphere where you can access anytime, but also without sacrificing the interactions and the collaboration, how you're going to work together on projects and how you're going to bring your examples and things like that to the table. So I think Gies has really taken the University of Illinois land grant institution kind of mission to heart, in that we are offering high quality education at an affordable price that is accessible to all learners, including our global learners. So I think we really have created some life-changing access to education through our intentional model and these specific qualities. So when we talk about stackable build and stackability, this slide is a pretty good illustration of all of our different access points. You can start at any of these and start impacting your career and continue to build, and that, until you reach that final step of a full master's degree. So the first option would be access point number 1, which is a Coursera MOOC, the smallest box there on the left. You could start with a Coursera MOOC that is a foundational building block in our Gies Online courses. So 2 MOOCs, or massive open online courses, on the Coursera platform are included in every 4 credit hour course that we offer. So these are going to give you specific foundational knowledge in a skill area. They're going to serve as a building block for your 4 credit hour course or your 4 credit course. And excuse me, we like to refer to the MOOCs as kind of like your virtual textbook in our courses. So what we do is we combine that with a high engagement component, and that's where you're going to get the 4 credit courses, or a course that you can actually earn transcript credit for. That's going to be that access point number 2, the dark blue box that represents our non-degree courses. These are Illinois 4 credit hour courses that are led by Gies faculty. They are IMSM, IMSA, and IMBA courses. And you will earn 4 hours of transcript credit, and you'll complete 2 MOOCs in that course. And then you'll have that to stack into the last 2 boxes. That third box, the light blue box, would be a graduate certificate. These are a really nice option if you want to earn a credential and be able to show your employer that. You'll also kind of develop a little bit of mastery in a specific skill area, like leadership and management, digital marketing, global challenges in business, are just a few. We have 13 graduate certificates that are currently offered. This is just an amazing opportunity to begin 12 credit hours of work and have that stand on its own, to be able to, impact your career and share that with your employer, or use that as a building block towards a future master's degree. So those 12 credit hours would count towards your online master's degree if you choose. Last option is the largest cube there on the right, and this is our online master's degrees. And so all of our grad certs, all of our non-degree courses, all of the MOOCs, these all stack ultimately into the master's degrees. And so we have the 3 that we offer, and more recently, we actually announced the ability to even stack our IMSM degree, which is 36 credit hours, essentially half of the MBA. You can stack that full degree into a master's degree. You apply, and if admitted, you would be able to be halfway towards your MBA degree. We also have, well, actually, in addition to that, the IMSA is stackable, as is a lot of our residential master's degrees, like the MAS, MSF, the MSBA, the MSM program, as well as the MSTM. You can stack 24 credit hours of those into the MBA as well. So many stackable options. And it's really nice that you can include all of these in your learner journey, and only just take on what you can at that time, and then build from there. Today, we are going to focus more on the 3 master's degrees and what that can do for learners. But if you have specific questions on any of these access points, I'm happy to talk with you. I do want to touch a little bit just briefly on how we deliver information in our programs. And every course is going to have these 2 components. So you'll have an asynchronous component, and you'll have a high engagement component. The asynchronous component is found on that Coursera platform. This is going to be those MOOCs that I was speaking about. They are career aligned training, and you can earn a digital certificate that you can share on social media, LinkedIn, wherever you want to share that. You'll enroll through Coursera, and unless you're an admitted student, then we'll link up your Coursera account with our Canvas account, and then that will be included in your course syllabus. But the Coursera component, this is kind of like your virtual textbook in the course. You will have pre-recorded videos from your faculty members, our faculty here at U of I. You'll have some self-assessed quizzes. You'll have some reading assignments and some peer evaluations. And so this is going to serve as the foundational material in your 4-credit course. But in addition to the MOOCs, the 2 MOOCs that you'll also have that high engagement component, which is going to be on the Canvas platform. This is building on that foundational material, or that textbook material. You will have a 90-minute live weekly lecture in front of your professor, where you'll have some small group breakout sessions. You'll be talking about current issues, problems, projects, that, a lot of examples that actually our students will bring to the table as well, just through your discussions. You'll have group projects outside of that with 4 to 5 other students. You'll have group projects in every course. And then, you'll have individual assignments, and you'll also have faculty office hours available to you. Our faculty are very good at making themselves available for those type of discussion hours, where you could get your questions answered and just kind of collaborate and interact with other students and your professor in those classes. So together, again, the asynchronous component and the high engagement component, those both make up our 4-credit hour courses, or our 4-credit courses. Does anybody have anything to add? Tom, Claire, and Steve, do you guys have anything to add to this, the way that we deliver information?
Yeah, you're taking your first course. If you're joining us tonight, I mean, this is essentially what an actual live session is like. The chat would be a little more lit up, more people commenting, making comments, and the other piece that you're missing is a breakout room. But really, if you're looking at MBA, this is really, really easy, and you shouldn't feel intimidated. And the usability is very simple. There are people who are able to download these videos and do them on long road trips, stuff like that. So just realize this whole process and platform is set up for ease of use and portability.
Perfect explanation. And Steve's gonna take over here in just a little bit and introduce himself. So thanks, Steve, for jumping in there. Yeah, perfectly said. I think, it works so well. And even though we're in this virtual environment, I know that can be a concern for some folks. There still is so much collaboration. There's, you're gonna meet people in your Zooms. You're gonna have, lifelong friends that you meet through, some of these courses. And then we also do have a lot of networking and in-person opportunities that are always fun to see the people that you've met in Zoom and meet them in real life. So yeah, so that's kind of how we do things here in the courses. Just a quick brief overview of the 3 degrees. We do have the Master of Science in Management. This degree is really going to be made up of several learner types. We have a lot of people with non-business backgrounds that are looking to add in leadership and management, kind of a base there to start with. We have business backgrounds that are pivoting to include management. Maybe they have never led a team and they're suddenly, kind of taking over that part of their company. This is a great degree for them. And then lastly, a lot of high technical, engineers that have just not had that leadership experience and management experience. This would be a great degree for those folks too. Comes in at just under 12K. If you do end up stacking into an MBA, that would obviously be another 12K. It will be a total of 24 if you stack that into an MBA. Anywhere from 1 to 5 years you can take to complete. Typically 1 to 2 is normal. It consists of 36 credit hours, which is going to break down to 6 core courses and then 3 electives. So you do have a lot of elective choices, which I think is really nice. Maybe you'd taken a graduate certificate. Those could actually act as your 3 electives if you stack that into an MSM, which is an option. And then lastly, we did mention that the MSM is fully stackable into the MBA. So a great starting degree, a great degree for someone who even has 10, 20 plus years of work experience. It's very versatile. MBA. So it looks, all of our guests today are part of the MBA program. So and that's our largest master's degree program. This is going to take just a much deeper dive into the skills that you need to run an entire business with management, accounting, financial skills. You're also going to learn a lot of the theory behind a lot of, of the projects and the problems that you'll work through in some of your group projects and the live sessions, and also through your assignments. So 24K, as I said, 2 to 3 years is kind of what people do on average, taking 1 or 2 courses each 8-week term. You can start pretty much anytime. We have 5 start dates. You'll do 18 courses. 12 of those are your core courses. And then again, lots of elective choices in your focus areas, which you'll take 6 courses that you'll find there. So included also 2 capstone projects, and then you'll have 1 program capstone right before you graduate. So and then lastly, the MSA, so Master of Science in Accountancy. This is going to be for our accountants and those who want to learn just the fundamentals of accounting, financial reporting, a little audit and control, and U.S. federal taxation. So we do have a lot of mid-level professionals that are kind of moving into that C-suite and need that direct foundation to continue. We have a lot of students that are brand new to accounting, and this is a great degree that you're going to have just a really nice base to start with or pivot your career into something new. 20 to 28K, that's a range based on your elective choices, and we can talk about that if needed. 18 to 36 months. We only have 3 start dates for the MSA program. And then this is going to be 5 core courses and 3 electives. So a theme, you do have a lot of elective choices in our master's degrees. So there's a lot of choices there for you to be able to cater it specifically to your career, just like banking and finance. So I want to get to our special guest today, and that's really the focus. And one thing I didn't obviously focus on or talk about is, what are the results of your degree? Why do this degree? How is it going to impact your career? How are you going to advance your career? Are you going to get promoted? We have pretty great statistics as far as percentages of promotions as well as salary increase. But I thought it would be nice to just hear from some people that are specifically in these careers. Our top, three of the top careers are accounting and banking, consulting, as well as engineering. So those are going to be 3 topics that we focus in this series in the next couple months. Tonight's banking and finance, and then we're going to do the other 2 coming up shortly. So I think I'm going to turn it over to our guests to introduce themselves and walk us through just a few slides about their background, the results that they've seen, and just general reflections on the ROI that they've experienced in the program. And then we'll have lots of time for questions at the end. I do have a list of questions from those who registered and asked questions then, so we'll definitely take those as well at that time. So, all right, Claire, I'm going to turn it over to you to go ahead and take over. Let me know if you need me to advance the slides, and we'll go from there.
Okay. Hello, everyone, and good morning from Taipei. And it's International Women's Day today here. So happy Women's Day to all. And my name is Claire. I graduated last year, and currently I'm working in a public financial group. My career path started in journalism, and then I made my first career pivot to corporate because of the influence of social media to the mass communication industry. I made that decision, the first pivot. And then the second pivot came when I had the opportunity to pivot from PR into the digital marketing realm. And here I put that why Gies, because that in my career path, I was a journalist, and those pivots, and particularly the experiences handling like a business bankruptcy, and that makes me realize that, oh, I really need to enhance my further understanding of business, how it works. And also like M&A communications. I have to be transparent that when I first handled that, I have to memorize a template given by our accounting team, and then to handle the media questions. So overall, I did some research and compare programs like EMBA programs versus MBA programs. And at that time for myself, I decided that compared with EMBA program, the MBA program from the Gies is more solid. As Kay already pointed out that there are 72 credits. To be honest, it's a huge loading, a heavy loading for a full-time working professional. And plus you have family and other duties. So I'm glad that after graduating, I have my weekend back and more like a life-work balance. Yeah, so this is a brief introduction. And then next I will talk to, this is the value of Gies education. And this framework of value I put in the end of semester, we have a program capstone, and the professor asks us to record a reflection video to talk about what you think about the whole program. And I put this that resonates with some of the content that Kay has already shared. And the first one, V, is that validate your cases. And throughout the different modules and courses, we are trained heavily and intensively with like business cases in different like setting and team assignment. Capstone is like a team project, and where you have to tackle a business case. Sometimes the business case is given, but sometimes you find your own case, and you have to let the business data speak for yourself. And that's why we're trained to validate your case and also accelerate your growth. And this one, in this program, I met the network is a valuable asset. What I take away from this program is that I met a lot of students like very driven and have strong career aspirations. As this program's requirement is that you have to have at least 3 years of experiences, but I found that actually a lot of students, they have more than 3 years of experiences, and they have a lot to bring to the classes discussion. And also about L leadership is that we have a lot of teamwork in this program. It's not part of like individual assignment, but like leadership is that you have to work with a team, and also that's connected with the next one. Is that when you work within a team and you divide work, and we have a lot of cultural diversity background, so you understand your strengths and weaknesses and how to collaborate as a team and cross cultural differences. And the last one is embrace a growth mindset. And this one, I find that like resonates with the students I met and also the faculty. I'm very impressed with the faculty engagement with students. They not only have high engagement in class, but also office sessions. Usually that's the ones that I benefit a lot for example, like in leadership and managing organization classes, we bring our everyday like office management like issue, or how do I tackle a difficult boss, or how do I manage younger employees, the younger generation employee, the alpha generation or beta, gamma, etc. Yeah, and then professor shares with us like some research finding and students adding their perspective. It's like another classroom of discussion, but we bring our daily like issues or problems we face. Yeah, and this story after Gies, I from Taipei, and then after this, this education, I put the Singapore icon here. Is that I want to talk about the network, that it opens more opportunities for me, that from Taipei, if I wanna, I think one merit of this program is that not only the online engagement, but there's also a lot of physical interaction, not only locally, but regionally. For me, it's in the Asia Pacific region, the Southeast Asia. So last year after graduated, I flew to Singapore and to attend. There's a huge and very strong network there. Like we have an annual gathering year end with all the students from all over Southeast Asia. And then it opens more potential career opportunities. Like someone may be hiring in their network or to share their working experiences in Singapore. So that's what I want to highlight here. Oh, and also because of ROI, just last thing to mention that is during the program, I feel that I have the more confidence to be relevant in the current workplace, and with the management team understand the language to talk about not only an outsider when they talk about finance or accounting or the overall company strategy and operations. So after this degree, earning the degree, I was also promoted to the VP of digital marketing. So that's one of the tangible one, but the intangible one is shown here. Yeah, that's my part. Thank you.
Excellent, Claire. Thank you so much. I love the picture at BIF, our business and instructional facility at graduation in front of the picture wall. That's a great photo. Well, thank you so much for sharing. If you all that are kind of joining us today have specific questions about Claire's background and her success, go ahead and throw those in the Q&A or the chat. We're going to keep moving, and we're going to move to Tom Kenny, and super excited to have Tom here. He's gonna kind of do the same thing, but with a much different background. And Tom, I'm from Park Ridge, Illinois, and I drive by that Charles Schwab. Are you right there in downtown Park Ridge then?
No, I was originally from I'm at Charles Schwab through the Ameritrade acquisition, so I was in River North.
Okay. Excellent. Well, I grew up right by that office. So anyways, take it away.
I'm Tom Kenny. I just completed my MBA in May, so a fairly recent graduate. I took just under 3 years, so also sort of reinforcing some of the flexibility that you have. For the most part, I attempted to avoid doubling up classes as much as I could, just due to my own personal time commitments outside of school. As you can get by without doubling up if you extend a little longer, but if you pair classes up properly and do a little research, ask some questions, you'll get some pretty good answers on which classes to truly pair together. Certain ones are going to be much more intensive than others, but it's definitely doable. That's including being a parent and full-time working. So I think it's one thing to keep in mind. The thing that drew me the most to this program was the flexibility. Let's see. So my MBA journey probably started about 5 or 6 years ago, just trying to think about what I wanted to do next with work and if I needed any sort of new credentials or licenses or certifications. And I kept on coming back to potentially going for an MBA program. Being in Chicago, I kind of looked at some of the local choices that were available, something along the lines of going to Northwestern or University of Chicago, and didn't really feel that my return on my investment was really going to be in my favor. I feel I'm probably on the higher end of the age range for those in the program, although you'll see a very wide variety of ages. But my return on going through some higher priced institution, I didn't really see the benefit there. However, I also went to U of I as an undergrad, and so I was always checking what they were up to. And when I noticed that the program went completely online, started giving it some more thought. In 2020, we had, everyone was forced to work from home with shutdowns and the pandemic. And it was a perfect time for me to decide, besides the fact that my company was being acquired, that I would take that time while I was at home and having a little bit more free time to go ahead and go back to school. So with a full backing of my wife, it makes, which is also pretty essential, right? Because you are dedicating quite a bit of time to this program. And while you can be very flexible, it is a time commitment, and you need to think about those who are part of your life. She was fully behind it. And we kind of learned to adjust those time frames to, when I would be studying and not as much as possible based on other like family commitments. Some of the benefits that I truly found from the degree personally was I was already a people leader. I was lucky enough to have actual training for leadership and management through my employer. But the first core of the iMBA program is on leadership and development in teams and leading teams and organizations. It really helped not only reinforce things that I've learned before, but then also bring new information to think about as well. The courses that we have between your electives and your cores are pretty broad and expansive, and gives you quite a chance to learn a lot of things that you may have never experienced, whether through your current, through your current profession or through your own degree that you had previously. As Claire mentioned, there are plenty of times where you can network. All of the classes, for example, have required team assignments. So there's always some smaller groups that you will be working with and getting to know people. Outside of that, we have a fairly extensive community that has local meetups. Lucky for me, in the Chicagoland area, there are multiple of those happening on a fairly regular basis. So it helped me to get to meet some of the other people who've either been through the program or in the program. So that's actually been a pretty surprising amount of networking that I wasn't really expecting so much on the online program. The other part of the program that I really enjoyed was I felt like as an undergrad, everything was sort of made to really challenge you and sort of see whether or not you were strong enough to maintain in your degree program. In the MBA classes, the professors truly are trying to have you learn the material that you need to learn and are looking for you to succeed. And you can tell in their own presentation and their excitement of what they are passionate about that they're teaching, that they have your interest involved. And I thought that was extremely exciting. I don't remember, I think there's another slide, if I remember. Yeah, so now that I'm done, assignments which are due on Tuesdays at 11:59 p.m. That day feels a lot different. In fact, one of the first Tuesdays after my degree, I was doing some chores after work and running some errands with my wife, and had a late dinner, and I was starting to feel anxious because I was like, I have to get down to my office and get my schoolwork done that I might be forgetting. And then it literally occurred to me that, hey, I no longer have this commitment that all these assignments need to be due at this deadline. The other thing that I really liked about the program, with the flexibility and the price, I was able to maximize as much as I could regarding tuition reimbursement. So probably all said and done, by the time I finished my program, even with just the normal tuition reimbursement that my company provided, they probably covered 2/3 of the program as well. So when I kind of look at that, for me, it is, has been a great return on my investment. While I was in the program, I also was promoted, so I guess that also sort of paid for itself as well. So I've been pretty happy with the entire process going through the MBA, and feel like it's been pretty successful. I've noticed that when I have recruiters reaching out, I also have higher level jobs that people are asking me about if I have interest in. And jobs where maybe I was getting recruited for previously, they're asking me about my network and if I have someone in mind. So I thought that was a difference that was sort of noticeable myself as well.
Perfect, Tom. Thank you for sharing all of that. I like the insight of balancing it all. It's a big challenge to take on a degree like this. It's definitely not an easy degree. And making sure you have buy-in from everyone in your family as well, I think is pretty important. So, okay, we will take questions here in a little bit. And we have one more kind of student story with Steve Rubis. Thank you for being here, Steve, and I'll turn it over to you.
Thanks, Kate. Welcome in, everybody. I think the segue here is that we're all Park Ridge. I start my day every day at St. Paul the Cross for Mass.
Oh, you're kidding. That's
Either
literally 3 blocks from my house. The house that I grew up in, and my parents still live there.
Nice. Yeah, it's a great area. It's a great area. Edison Park, Park Ridge. I grew up like Norridge, Montclair, Oak Park. So a little bit about me. I try to keep this simple. 4 cities. Grew up in Chicago. Lived in Sterling, Virginia, DC area for about 20 years, with a stop in Dallas and a stop in Vegas. My background is 3 buckets: capital markets. Spent 10 years as a sell-side equity research analyst at Stifel, largest investment bank you've never heard of. Did a lot of investor relations, most notably Caesars in Las Vegas. And then my most recent job is corporate finance. I was VP of FP&A at Click, a data and analytics company that completes with Tableau and Power BI. Why Gies? How did I get to Gies as my choice? Well, being on Wall Street, there's a lot of, I'll call it name snobbery. Like, did you go to Harvard? Did you go to U of C? Did you go to Northwestern? And it's a big chunk of change. And my problem was I couldn't justify going away for 2 years to come back to the same job. And what really broke my analysis by paralysis was when I was doing investor relations for a data center REIT. The CEO made $25 million, and he had an MBA from a school that doesn't even exist anymore. And at that point, I realized, okay, best name, lowest price is the answer. Originally looked at Florida, didn't like that I have to go to Florida, and just decided, hey, I'll do U of I. And really the impact for me is I'm hoping to find a great employer and really move more from this investor relations realm to full public company CFO at some point in the future. So next slide, please. So it helped me become a better leader, a better person. And what I mean by that is, we talked about teamwork and some of the other presentations, and it allowed me to step into that, hey, I'll actually take the lead in a project and feel good about it and kind of direct it and throw out, hey, let's get a Zoom together, let's get a meeting together, et cetera. And better person, just, learn to be more patient, more empathetic. Not that I wasn't those things already, but it helped me kind of more round out those EQ soft skills. And from an ROI perspective, again, it's really all about the cost you're going to pay. Like, if you're going to be able to cover this with your tuition reimbursement and get it for free, you're not going to get a better value anywhere else. And even if you do pay for it, what it did for me during the program is I went from senior director to SVP de facto CFO in 2 or 3 years. And, sure, that was also probably due to some circumstances that allowed me to do that a little faster, but I've seen a lot of other people who've moved, very quickly through positions as they go through the program, because you're picking up some of these soft skills and hard skills of just, being a better collaborator, better teamwork at work, more patience, again, more of that EQ. And at the same time, you're getting a lot of hard skills. Like the professors you're getting really know their stuff. Like, the accounting is top 5 US, so you can't beat the value there either. And it's amazing, some of the professors that you get to meet through the program. So next slide, please. And so after graduation, I finished the MBA in 2023, and I stayed on to do the MSA, where I'll be finishing in December of 2024. This will be my second dual degree. I did a BA, MA back in 2003, 2004. And, from a long-term view, like taking the program was all about what I call table stakes. I worked on Wall Street without a business degree and without an MBA. And so in order to move further along in the industry and in corporate, I needed, these degrees to make me competitive to get to that public CFO goal. And, the opportunities, I think, are the networking, both online and in person. You're going to get to do a lot of teamwork. You're going to have teammates in Japan, in Singapore, China, Germany, all over the US. There's a huge group in Dallas. There's a huge group in Chicago. Those are probably the 2 biggest boluses of people. iConverge is incredible. I think that was the one thing I did that really made the program come to life for me. I went this September for the first time, and literally, the professors all joke it's your chance to come party like an undergrad. And it really is a fun time, and you get to meet a lot of people and talk to a lot of people, and just the classmates and professors that you'll meet are incredible. Like, I probably think a lot more about my accounting professors at the moment, like Angel Chatterton, Mark Peacher, Scott Mendoza. Those are the ones that I've really kind of, connected with here as I've had them in the program. And really, from change, it's like the only regret you're going to have is that you wish you would have started this sooner. Everyone I talk to, that's really the biggest issue. It's like, why didn't I do this a year ago? Why didn't I do this already? And really, what are you waiting for? I mean, you're going to be very happy if you take this program. I think you're going to be surprised at how easy it is. And I think one more thing that I didn't put on the slide, I think that's worth reiterating that Tom threw out there was, when you get into the program, follow the advice that says take these classes first. They're meant to be that way because it's easier if you do it that way. And the other piece I would tell you is that there is a workplace. It's Facebook for University of Illinois, IMBA, IMSA, IMSM. And anytime you take a class, especially in the IMBA, there'll be a group on workplace for all of the students in that class where you can go and collaborate and study together. And enterprising students will run a study session every week to help you with your homework. And if you go to the office hours and you do all those things, it's going to be really hard to get lower than a B in your class. You have to really work hard to fail. Meaning you're not doing anything, you're not engaged, is how you end up failing. So I'll leave it there for Q&A. Thanks for listening.
I think you made some great points, Steve. I love that you talked a little bit about the networking, iConverge, some of those opportunities. And then ending with you get out of it what you put in. I think, we do look for a lot of students just through the application process. We're looking for students who we know are going to engage. We know that are going to put a lot of effort into collaborating and being a great, group project member. And so, if you phone it in, that's really what you're going to get out of it. Well, thank you so much, Claire, Tom, and Steve. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen. I know that we have lots of participants with us today. If you have specific questions about anything that you've heard, go ahead and throw those in the Q&A. I actually have some questions that people submitted with their registration form. So I wanted to just pose some of those to our panelists. The first one being pretty simple. Is there anything that you would have done differently to prepare for your graduate program? And I'm just going to let you guys kind of jump in and we'll just kind of move through these. It's 6:43, so I want to be mindful of everyone's time. So we'll do this for about 10 minutes and then we'll see where we're at.
Yeah, I wouldn't say you need to do anything to prepare. I think the key is what I described, getting in the study groups. And I think what helped me really get back into the swing of school was I used Workplace and linked up with a bunch of students in the PAT program, the provisionally accepted track. And we formed a study group. And the PAT track is you have to take 3 classes and get, I think, an A in each of those 3 classes to get fully admitted. And so I was able to help them do their study. It got me really engaged into doing the work and being like, okay, I have to do this every week. I have to do my studies. And I really think if you can connect with others in a study group in some way, that's really the biggest thing you need to do to be successful.
I love that. Anyone else?
And adding on to like Steve and Tom, I think what I would have done differently is that I would have more thorough understanding. Like before semester, I check the courses level, like the difficulty level, and then pairing them more wisely. I remember one nightmare semester is that I pair 2 very intensive quantitative classes all together, and that makes my life very miserable. And plus the full-time working, that for example, I remember I have like managerial accounting plus investments. That 2 combo is if I could have done differently, I may pair, for example, managerial accounting with leadership and team, quantitative and qualitative. And as Steve mentioned, in workplace, there's a lot of study groups, and then people will share tips, or people who have taken the courses can give you some heads up so you can better, like, depends on your flexibility and time. For example, you are stuck in a very critical work project. You just have capacity for 1 course in this semester. Yeah, so I think that's ask more questions, and then you will get all your questions answered. Yeah.
I would just throw one last thing out there. I didn't do anything to prepare heading into the program. I don't feel that you really need to. You know, the information you need is going to be available for you. I will say that think about how long you want to take to get your degree done and meet with an advisor pretty early on. I waited to about the halfway point, which was not necessarily bad, but I think it does benefit you to meet pretty early on to help look at what classes are available. There's a good likelihood that some newer classes will get added as electives further on down the line, or a class will get revamped as well. So it's always good to have sort of like a plan where you at least have a general sense of what you're intending to do.
Great point. I think the student and academic support team, our advising team, is just a great resource here. I mean, I always recommend try to plan out your degree yourself, and then they take it to them and they'll help you tweak it based on their information on course load, your background, the type of, you know, faculty member, things like that. So I think there's one question: how easy is it to graduate with straight A's? I don't necessarily think that's super important as far as our graduate group of students that are in these programs. I think what I would measure is more like impact on your career and your learning, and like how you can take that directly back to your job each week. But I think they're trying to get at kind of the rigor of the program. Steve threw an answer there.
Yeah, I'm a big believer of this mantra of the highest grade, lowest effort. Like I know a lot of people who are very much about, hey, I want straight A's. And you know, I have a different perspective, and you'll learn this with Pages if you take Professor Lowenstein's and Goncalvo's class that gets you to change perspectives. And what I mean by that is if you're really looking to become a manager or an executive or someone higher up in the chain of command, you need to learn how to scale your day and be able to delegate things. And that means that, you know, everyone wants an A+, but sometimes a B is all you really need to be successful. And it's a good skill to learn through business school.
Steve, I think you are of the same mindset of some of the people I've worked with. I've had to take a lot of licensing classes in my industry, and on one of the harder ones, I don't know, I think I had like an 85, and someone clearly pointed out that I studied way too hard on that one. So
you must have gotten higher than a 70 on the
72.
Series 7.
Here's an interesting question. I completed my bachelor's in information technology in 2004. I have 19 years of work experience in IT. I think I need to expand the breadth of my knowledge on the business side to be able to make my next career move in a leadership role. I'm interested in the dual degrees of the MSM and the MBA, and would like to know from let's see, did this give you the prerequisites to be competitive in the workplace and help grow in those leadership roles?
I mean, I guess I could chime in a little bit since I was also pretty far through my career before joining the program. I'd say the one thing for me is I was already as like in a people leader role. So I don't think that necessarily the program itself helped me get that position, but I think it made me a better leader, reinforced some of the things I've already learned. But as far as what the question sort of seems to be, it does seem that a program like the IMBA program is what's going to give you a broader breadth of how the business itself works and try and help break you out of sort of like that specialization. I'm in risk management. Like the way how I'm looking at it is how can I use my skill set to push the business and not necessarily just stay like in my own personal silos. So that's sort of my logic on going through this is I'm not sure if anyone else has something different.
Yeah, I mean, I came to this, 20 years into a career, and I wouldn't call it a pivot, but I think it's, the point is that it's optimal if you're already in a firm, because maybe that firm will give you incentives. Like when I worked at Lockheed Martin, they would give you a $10,000 bonus if you got an MBA. The problem is that they wanted you to go to Strayer or Capella. I was not going to do that. Maybe your employers do that as well. But I think that the point is that if you're in place somewhere, you have people who are behind you and want to push you up the chain of command, the degree is just going to help you grease that wheel to move further up. And if it turns out that you hit the glass ceiling where you're at, you can kind of move to that next place, and it'll be easier to make that move somewhere else.
Yeah, I think the leadership and management portion, like really essentially the MSM portion of the MBA is amazing. And I think Steve, you hit on it just as far as like one of your slides, just even becoming a better person, more confidence. Like I know that seems kind of silly, but that resonates. And I think with a lot of our students, and we hear that really a lot. Okay, one question, do you think out of state students build just as many career meaningful relationships as in-state students through an online program?
Yeah, in-state, out-of-state does not even matter. I mean, I guess it's easier to connect because there's a bolus of people, like I say, here in Chicago and Dallas, but I know that the school has started to do events in different cities, like they did one in DC recently. I helped set up some meetups in DC. There were only a few of us, but it was cool because we met up in DC, and then a year later we met at iConverge. So it's like, hey, I know you. You're going to be here. Let's connect. Let's talk. And again, like the Zoom chats and the team meetings is where you're really going to get that networking. There are people that will stay on for an hour, and we've had like 30 or a minute or an hour sessions where we're just learning each other over time and have become friends that way. And then it's more meaningful when you get to like iConverge or something else.
That's one of my favorite things when I see two people come together at one of our events who've only met on Zoom, and they are like lifelong friends already, but they finally get to meet in person, and it's really fun to watch. Anybody else have any insight on that? I know it is a global program. I mean, Claire, you could probably add to this most out of our guests here, being out of the country.
I think I heard about the straight A. I can help. Like I heard that discussion a lot. We have a WeChat group with a lot of like Chinese students there, and they are very like concentrated on getting straight A's. But to be honest, for me, or like I think the essence or true essence for this program is not about the grade is essential. However, as Tom mentioned, that the professor faculties, their engagement with you is all they want you to succeed in this program. And the way they instruct the course is not to challenge you to make you flaunt this course, is to help you equip the essential knowledge you need to tackle your daily day-to-day business scenarios through cases, discussion, and people's perspective from their real world experiences. So that's one thing to add on straight A. And also about networking, yes, indeed, a lot of people ask whether in other sessions, ask about in online program, how do you do networking? But one thing I want to add is that for networking, it's about you have to make efforts too. Like Steve mentioned, that you reach out to people and you network with people, reach out, hey, I took this course from you and I noticed we have the same background and interest. And maybe we can set up like a call and to know more about yourself. I remember one thing, like in the last program capstone last semester, when we ended the class, the professor said that, think about it, there are 52 weeks in a year. And then you met one, like alumni or student, and then you make more meaningful 52 connections throughout the year, get to know them better. And to be honest, before COVID, I think a digital MBA, I never thought about it as a reality. However, like not interrupting my life, as in this program, we're all mid-year professionals. We have a certain level of experiences. So like walking away from your role and being a full-time student, the cost, like as we talk about ROI here, the cost and return, it's you have to give up your job, to be honest, and then you come back and then find another job. And in this era, like industry time or like world changes a lot, and you never know like what the landscape will look like after you come back in 2 years. So that's also one of the reasons I chose. And for networking, I find that it's not a issue, but it depends on the efforts also you devote to. Yeah.
And can I interject really quick? We haven't talked about immersions. And that's really one of the biggest ways to meet people. And like this is essentially, instead of doing a capstone, you get together with a bunch of students and you do a project for a company in places like Japan, Colombia. I regret that I didn't do the one in Seattle because you worked for the Seattle Kraken, the hockey team, which was a really cool opportunity. But I don't know if Tom or Claire, if you guys did immersions or not.
No, and talking
did
about
not.
immersion, I know this semester they're traveling to Singapore and Malaysia, but I wish I could have that opportunity when I was in the program. Yeah. I remember we used to have this virtual like Japan, Colombia one. Yeah, only also Japan. Yeah.
Well, during COVID, we had to pivot a little bit and do some virtual ones. And actually, we're continuing those. They've been really successful. And they're also, they make it accessible to more people than those that just, need to apply and go in person. So, Tom, did you do one?
No, I went with the idea of, as I finished a core, I was going to take the capstone and get them over with.
Mhm.
So I got through core 1 and 2 in the heart of the pandemic, and I was like, that's fine. Now I don't have to worry about a capstone until the program capstone. But I did then, miss out on the immersion to some extent as they went back in person. But my personal schedule is not really open enough for it either. So it really is kind of a personal decision too. But any chance to meet people and to work together in person is always a great opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard nothing but positive feedback on the immersions. It does have an extra cost for those of you who are here. You do apply, and there's kind of just a ranking process as far as, how long you have to graduate, things like that, as far as who they choose. But they are going to South Africa, and I'm actually going on that one this summer. So I'm very excited about that as a chaperone. But yeah, really amazing opportunity. And add, Steve, thanks for bringing that up as far as another kind of networking opportunity. Any other, we're going to wrap up here in like 1 or 2 minutes, but any other platforms? I know we have, our students are very active on LinkedIn. We talked about iConverge, which is our kickoff event every year. Meetups, I think we hit on that. Those are domestic and international.
Workplace.
Yeah, Workplace is our social media group just for our students. What about like Yellow Dig or any of those things that are in the classes? Do you guys have any feedback, or did they use those when you were in the program?
I used it a little bit.
Okay.
I want to say maybe 2 classes of mine had them. It was sort of an interesting process of being able to, have part of your assignment written in there and sort of help you try to engage with other people. With the right classes, I think it works because it's essentially what Kate's referring to. It's almost like a message board type system, and it's sort of like a forced engagement for the class. So you may have to have a topic that you're going to pick and you're going to post and write about, and then you're going to interact also with other people's topics. So it does give you, it's all going to be related to what the class that you're talking, like what you're talking about in class. So it helps apply that to real time, like real world situations, and have a conversation with it. So I thought it was pretty interesting, but it was also, I don't know if it was new to the program or not, but I think I just had 1 or 2 classes near the end that had it.
Yeah, they definitely were piloting it. They're moving into a lot more, courses now that they've got that pilot done. But yeah, I mean, I think it's another just great way for engagement, learner engagement for current students as well. So, okay, I think we got all of our questions answered. There's just one left, which, did your employers offer to subsidize your education, and how did that kind of employment sponsor process work? Did anybody, it sounded like a couple of you used that.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely employer specific. My employer, if you were in a degree program, they would reimburse you up to whatever the IRS maximum is. I think it's 5,250, but you'd have to double check on that. For me, my process was I had to make the request before I signed up for my classes, say which classes I was taking. After that semester was done, or that class was finished, especially if we're talking about 8-week courses, and grades were available, I would submit my grades, and I had a certain time period to submit it along with proof that I paid, and then I would get reimbursement. So it's, for me, it was well worth the effort. And as I mentioned when I was talking before, I dragged on the program a little longer, starting in the fall and ending in the spring. So I feel like I probably had a pretty good reimbursement on percentage for my tuition.
Yeah, it's nice if you do spread it out a little bit, because then you can maximize the sponsorship funding too. We do have a great bursar office. There you can answer questions, and Steve made a great point. You really just can ask your fellow students and ask them how they navigated it. And there's always somebody from your company that's probably in the program that you can connect with, which is really nice. So, okay, I think we got most of our questions, and I know it's, we're right at 7 o'clock, so I think we're going to wrap up. I will send you all of our guests a follow-up email. That way you'll have a way to get, in contact with me. We are so glad that you were here to learn a little bit more about our programs, and kind of from 3 amazing students in kind of the banking and the finance sector. This is kind of a new kind of recruitment event for us, and I think it went really well. I'm glad that we were able to highlight all of your experiences. Thank you so much for volunteering. Claire, Steve, and Tom, you guys were great. And I know that you're super busy, and we really appreciate your time here tonight. But yeah, I hope everyone has a great rest of your evening. Thanks for being here, and hopefully we'll see you soon.